Welcome to this textbook overview video for College Physics 2nd edition from OpenStax. This book is used at Grand Rapids Community College, among others, for Physics 125 and Physics 126. It's a great book because you can access it in a lot of different formats, several of which you can access completely free, and I wanted to showcase just a little bit about the book. So I'm going to start by bringing us to this landing page. If you were to Google OpenStax College Physics, you would find this book. If you also went to openstax.org and searched by subject, you could go to the Science tab and scroll down until you get to College Physics 2E, and that's the full name of it. We don't want the AP Physics edition, we don't want the Polish editions, we don't want the first edition either. All right, so I'm going to highlight a couple of different formats for this book. The first is the online format. I think this is really useful if you've got an internet connection for a couple of different reasons. When this first loads, one thing I want to note is that you are never required to have an account to access the OpenStax books. I am, however, logged into an account, and this does allow for a couple of cool things that you may want to consider. If you are logged into an account, you would be able to make any kind of highlighting, choose a particular color for it, add any note you wanted to, and save that. And because you are logged into your account, it's going to keep track of all of that. And then in your highlights area, you would be able to search by the different colors that you want to use. Maybe you're using those colors for different things that you want to reference or that you have questions about and want to ask. You'd be able to sort by that and sort by chapter. And this print button would allow you to physically print it out onto paper, but also to make a PDF with all of the different highlightings and notes that you took. So it's a really useful thing to know about, and some students find it very valuable, some students not as much, and that's perfectly fine. One of the other things is searching the book. So if you wanted to search the book for something specific, you could type it into the search bar, press search, and then it will bring up everywhere where that particular idea or term comes up. It will search the words separate from each other as well as the full phrase, and it will bring you to all of the different places, for example, where we have that idea or term come up. This is really useful if there is something specific you want more information about, or you want to see how it's connected to other chapters. And Hooke's law, for example, is described in Physics 125 and used throughout, and it makes a return in Physics 126 in the first couple of weeks of the semester. So besides the search feature, I want to recognize that all of the links in the book, many are outside resources that can deepen your learning or connect you with additional ideas that you want to investigate. And some of the time it's links to different sections in the book that are related to each other. And so it's very valuable to see how our learning builds on itself or how it branches off into these different ideas and topics. Certainly, I encourage you to explore the features of the book as much as you would like to. Within every given chapter, I do want to highlight how the table of contents, how the chapters are designed. So if you click on the name of a chapter, so for example, chapter 4, Newton's Laws, the very first thing, which is unnumbered, is a simple introduction to what is covered in the chapter, as well as links to each section. But what I want to highlight is that one of the ways to approach this book is after we've learned a particular topic in lecture, after we've seen it in lecture together in class or in lecture videos, whatever version you're taking the course as. There are a couple of ways to help kind of review and make sure that you've understood the core ideas. One of which is each chapter has a glossary, and that can make sure that you understand the core ideas and terms that were presented in that particular chapter. It can help to make sure that you recognize what each of those terms mean as you're reading through it, that you think about the different terms that are also variables and equations, so that you can think about the different units that they should have. The section summary is also excellent for making sure that you've got the key ideas out of each of those chapters that were elaborated and provided context and example problems in class, but the section summary just really narrows in on what was the most important takeaways from each of those ideas that we can then apply in problem solving. And then finally, the textbook has two types of questions that it asks at the end of every chapter. One focuses on the concepts involved. That tends to be much more important and focused on in Physics 126 than in Physics 125. In Physics 125, we introduce a lot of concepts, but we want to jump right into problem solving, and we have problems and exercises available to do that. And those problems and exercises would then be quantitative. You'd need to have a calculator in front of you. You'd be doing the problem-solving process of identifying the unknowns and drawing a picture. All of these different steps that we talk about in class would be the ones that you're following for the problems and exercises of each chapter. Okay, so that's the overview of this version of this format rather, of the book. But I do want to show you what the PDF looks like as well. So I'm going to click download and then go to my file. And then it will open up in my chosen PDF viewer. Now I do want to note that this book has almost 1,700 pages. This textbook is used in 2 full semesters of physics courses taught at Grand Rapids Community College, and there are additional chapters that are not covered in either of those 2 courses. So there's a lot of content here, and always recognize that what we do in lecture is the level and set of topics that you're responsible for. Anything in the book that we don't cover, you're not trying to learn on your own, but it's a useful resource for seeing more depth than we might see, or additional problems and examples than we might see, or connections to other topics that you're interested in or that would be valuable to your learning. The nice thing about the PDF is that once you've downloaded it once, you have that file and can keep that file fully legally through the open license for as long as you want to have that file taking up space on your device. You don't need to have an account to download that PDF, and you can keep it for as long as you'd like to. For the book in its online form compared to its PDF form, the PDF form looks more like what the printed copy does, because the printed copy is just this PDF. But there's still a couple of things I want to make sure that we recognize. The table of contents has links that you can get directly to the section that you're interested in. And those sections start with learning objectives. They have all the same content that we see in the online version of the book, but sometimes it's nice to just kind of see it flow from one section to the next and understand how all of those ideas are supporting this single consistent topic of friction, for example, or of different things. The links that go to outside sources will still go to outside sources. So the benefit of the PDF is that once you download it, you don't need an internet device. But if you are trying to get to these outside websites, you can make note of the URL and try it on your own, or only click on that when you do have access to the internet. The other thing to note is that if we want to search the PDF, we still can. For most PDF viewers, you would hold Control and hit F for find, and then you can search for whatever it is that you are interested in learning more about, like the example I gave when we were looking at the other version. The one difference here is it's going to take a little bit longer for it to search the whole PDF, and it will only search for exactly what I've typed and not any subparts of it. It is looking for that exact set of characters. So be aware that it's not going to be exactly the same as the online search for the textbook was. The last version of the book that I wanted to comment on was the print copy. So our campus bookstore will have print copies available for purchase or to rent. And no matter where you're getting the print copy from, our bookstore or elsewhere, It is available in black and white paperback versions or in hardback color versions. And one thing I want to caution everyone about is that the black and white paperback versions, if you buy that type of book, it is printed in 2 separate volumes, and it makes it look like a much bigger textbook. It's just slightly thicker paper than what is kind of intended. So you might be saving a little bit of money, but I would really strongly encourage the color hardback version of the book. It's the only one that I think our bookstore is carrying, and it is objectively more user-friendly if you want a paper copy to begin with. Our library also has copies to be able to reference while you're on campus. If you have any questions at all about the book, please make sure to reach out to your instructor, whether that's me or Professor Siebelak or Professor Dame or any of us in the department. And we would love to answer any questions you have and make sure that you feel confident with the book moving forward. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to supporting your success this semester. Thanks.